Part 66. What is guard camp training and how powerful? See their performance. Next, Mingyu handed over the matter of the Heku racecourse to Su Wen. He has been presiding over the construction of the village tunnels, and now they are almost on the right track. The following people only need to draw the gourds and continue to finish. Su Wen has excellent organizational skills and is good at thinking. It is more appropriate to leave him in charge. Mingyu has put a lot of effort into this canal, and found a lot of river craftsmen to conduct on-the-spot investigations, and finally found the best channel. In the future, this canal will be repaired. It can not only nourish the horse farms, but also make the horse farms rich in water and grass, and can irrigate the fertile fields in the plains. In the long run, it is a good thing for the country and the people. Now it is worthwhile to spend some manpower and material resources for the future of Liangzhou. The blueprint has been planned, and Su Wen solemnly took over this task. This is a big test for him, and he must not fail it. Next, Mingyu was busy with the military workshop, which was a top priority. After all, only a good military force could strengthen the defense capability of the frontier army. As for the protective shield, the hooked sickle spear, and the thorny lance, General Wei has come to urge it several times. The deposit has been paid, and I just hope that it will be delivered sooner. Needless to say about the protective shield and the hooked sickle spear, this thorny lance is also very effective against cavalry with a protective shield. The spiny lance, as the name suggests, is similar to the ordinary lance, except that it is lengthened, and then dense long hooks are added to the front end. Just imagine, in the phalanx, the enemy troops raided on horseback, and before they got close, there were countless hooks everywhere, who would dare to continue to charge? What is the difference between this and direct death? Although these things are cumbersome and have insufficient mobility, passive defense is very useful. Equipped with garrison, it can be even more powerful, because garrison is mainly responsible for defense. In the past, there was no way for the garrison to take the enemy's iron cavalry, and it was only a matter of retreat. It was already very good to be able to firmly hold the gate. Now it is different. With that equipment, even if you encounter the enemy's cavalry in an affair, you will no longer run away from the wind. Equipped like a garrison of tin turtles, the enemy has nothing to do with them, and they can bite back every now and then, so why not do it? At that time, after General Wei proposed to Mingyu that he would use the guard battalion to train the garrison, he got Mingyu's acquiescence to go to Mo Jiang. After a few days of grinding, Mo Jiang was relieved, but there is a condition: try it for a while, if it is really not suitable, then I am sorry, and call back wherever you come from. Mo Jiang finally let go, and General Wei naturally agreed with his mouthful, and sent the person over the next day. Because General Wei had told them thousands of times to follow the rules of the guard camp, if they were returned, they would not have to go back to the garrison. Everyone didn't dare to make trouble, and they all started their training career in the guard camp quietly, and started from scratch with the new recruit Danzi. Wei Yuanhuan was considered to be the best among the juniors of the Wei family, although in the eyes of General Wei, he was too far behind, and among the shorties, he was the only one in the Wei family who could see. What else can I do, then pack him up and send it over. Wei Yuanhuan is smart, but a little arrogant. After all, he lived in a family like the Wei family since he was a child. It's normal for young people to be a little competitive. Although before coming, Grandpa had told him countless times to train him to learn his skills, and he must not violate the rules and be lazy. But he politely agreed on the surface, but he still felt a little disapproval in his heart. It's not like he didn't know what the guard battalion looked like. Back then, the guard battalion arranged for the garrison to conduct confrontation drills. He was also in the team, personally beating the guards to fine teeth. Grandpa didn't know what he was thinking, but he actually asked them to come to the guard camp and learn training with the people in the guard camp. He wants to see what can be learned here. At this time, Mo Jiang in the guard camp had regretted his promise to General Wei at that time. When he agreed, he must have been stunned. It must be like this. In front of him, Wei Yuanhuan raised his head and asked loudly, Commander Mo, you tell us to run with sandbags every day before dawn, what's the use? They have been here for more than half a month. Running, standing in the military posture, I really don't know what's the use of training these. When you encounter an enemy, do you just run away, or stand still and let someone kill you? I really don't know what the hell Grandpa sent them to learn. Mo Jiang glanced at him coldly, not wanting to pay attention to this thorn. Listen to my order, start and run. Mo Jiang gave the order, and everyone glanced at Wei Yuanhuan in front of the team and looked at each other, hesitating for a while whether they should obey the order or not. There was a relaxed smile on Mo Jiang's face. You don't obey orders, right? Good. I made an appointment with General Wei at the beginning. If you don't obey orders, the guard camp will not keep anyone, and the gate of the guard camp is over there, please go back. General Wei's words were still in his ears. How dare they go back? The first person in the lead immediately began to act, and started to run behind the tail of the guard camp recruits. Wei Yuanhuan snorted coldly, trying to scare people. He wasn't intimidated. With a straight expression on his face, he said, Commander Mo, it's not that I don't obey orders. I just asked Commander Mo when I had doubts in my heart. He was neither humble nor arrogant. There are military regulations in the guard battalion. If subordinates have doubts, they can ask the commander. The commander is obliged to make a reasonable explanation for the soldiers. Training time is now about obeying orders. The guard battalion doesn't need people who don't obey orders. Mo Jiang stared at him, understand? You don't want to obey orders, please. Wei Yuanhuan licked his lips, stared at Mo Jiang, and said word by word, yes, I am willing to obey the order. He smiled at Mo Jiang and said in a low voice, after the training, I hope Commander Mo can clear my doubts. After he finished speaking, he turned and ran in the direction of the team. Mo Jiang's head hurt a little, and once again regretted that he should not have agreed to General Wei. If it's a recruit, you can train as you want. How can you be as difficult as these soldiers? Mo Jiang regretted that it was useless. He only hoped that these people could not bear to leave as soon as possible, but he didn't know how General Wei explained to them. It seemed that it would be difficult for them to give up on their own. Mo Jiang didn't take Wei Yuanhuan's words to heart. Others might take his identity into consideration, but he wouldn't, thinking he had plenty of time. He is so busy every day that his feet are not touching the ground, and he will make a special trip to wait for you to clear up your doubts. Hee, naive. Mo Jiang didn't wait for Wei Yuanhuan, and went straight to Mingyu to report the work progress in January. After listening to it, Mingyu nodded with satisfaction. These recruits are still very good. When it comes to recruits, you have to think of the garrison that General Wei has put in, and Mingyu also asked about the situation. Mo Jiang was full of heartbreak and hesitantly said, Your Highness, can you let General Wei take the people back? What's wrong? Mingyu asked. These brats, who have been in the army for a long time, are accustomed to acting sly and acting slick. Compared with recruits, they are one in the sky and the other on the ground. No one wants to bring such soldiers. Although the recruits can't do anything, they are enough. Be honest and obedient, do what you say, don't worry too much. As for these people, they think they have some skills, and they don't take basic training seriously at all. Remembering that Wei Yuanhuan was able to seize the opportunity and choked on the head, he said that he would be punished, but everyone still followed the rules of the guard camp. But if you really want to rely on him, isn't his commander just admitting defeat in front of him? Absolutely not. Mingyu was curious to hear Mo Jiang's complaints, and laughed heartily. But at that time, it was true that he dug a pit for Mo Jiang, and now laughing at him is a bit inauthentic, so I have to appease him a few words. This, I'm afraid it's unrealistic. General Wei is the one who tried his best to get in here. How could he easily let people go back? Besides, didn't you agree? Wait 3 or 5 months, and the time will be won. Come, this matter will naturally pass. Ming Yu persuaded. Fortunately, after listening to Xie Xiu's words at the time, he asked General Wei to talk to Mo Jiang himself, otherwise, it would be his turn to worry about it now. It was precisely because of a momentary reluctance that he agreed to this request, and now he has suffered the consequences of his own planting. Come on, it's only a few months left, it's best to go there early, and you can breathe a sigh of relief. In the future, this kind of thing will never happen again. Commander Mo, actually, this prince thinks that these people don't need to be accustomed to them. They are not convinced. Okay, just talk with your fists and beat them to be convinced, there is no need to be angry with them. Isn't it? Ming Yu suggested. It is also the same principle, the more accustomed to them, the more lawless they become. Although they are obstructing General Wei's explanation, they are respected on the surface, but what they think in private is uncertain. Mo Jiang clenched his fists. The Lord was right. It would be good to repair them. After making up his mind, Mo Jiang felt a little relieved. Back in the guard camp, it was already dark, handed over the horse to the guards, and was about to enter the tent when a dark shadow suddenly jumped out. Mo Jiang was stunned for a moment, and immediately became alert. But he heard Wei Yuanhuan's laughing ruffian voice, "Commander Mo is very busy, I have been waiting for you for a long time." Mo Jiang was expressionless, his fist squeezed cooingly. "Yes, very consciously. Come in with me." Mo Jiang coldly dropped a sentence and went straight into the tent. Wei Yuanhuan spat out the grassroots in his mouth, followed Mo Jiang into the tent, his face was very proud. "I would like to see how you explain it." Mo Jiang took off his cloak, threw it aside, and asked without looking back, "Why are you looking for me?" "Commander Mo, we came to guard the camp to learn how to fight the enemy, not to run around all day. You can win the enemy by standing in line, so I don't understand why Commander Mo asked us to train these things. Please give me an explanation." Before he finished speaking, there was a sudden wind of punches coming from his face. Wei Yuanhuan was taken aback. Fortunately, the years of training in the army made him responsive and narrowly avoided. However, avoiding the top, but didn't notice the bottom, and then a pain in the lower abdomen, a fist hit him, and he stood unsteadily for a while, and was beaten back several steps. Wei Yuanhuan looked at Mo Jiang in disbelief. Why did this person not follow the rules? He said he would do it. Mo Jiang retracted his hand at this time, and showed a smile on his active wrist. "Come on, I'll explain to you if you beat me." Wei Yuanhuan was not convinced. "You didn't follow the rules and attacked." Mo Jiang disdainfully, "Will the enemy teach you the rules on the battlefield?" When it comes to fighting, Wei Yuanhuan has always been not afraid. "If you fight, I'm still afraid of you." Wei Yuanhuan is a direct descendant of the Wei family, and the Wei family focuses on training people, and he still has some skills. When he was stationed in the army before, no one dared to fight with the son of the Wei family. On weekdays, he is still a little complacent about his skills. Now Mo Jiang can't control so much. If you care about your son and young master, if it falls into his hands, don't blame him for being rude. He was determined to beat him down, but he wanted to see if this person would dare to show off in front of him in the future. Says that Wei Yuanhuan's boxing skills are not bad, and every move and style are all the same, but he met Mo Jiang, and he practiced military boxing moves to defeat the enemy, no matter how ruthless he came. Moreover, Mo Jiang made up his mind again, and insisted on making Wei Yuanhuan suffer, so he greeted the most vulnerable part of his body with every move. Fist to the flesh, move to the point, Wei Yuanhuan was beaten and retreated. After a short while, Wei Yuanhuan couldn't stand it anymore, was thrown over his shoulder by Mo Jiang, and then lay down on the ground with his neck down, unable to move. Mo Jiang retracted his fist on his face and sneered, "Are you satisfied?" Wei Yuanhuan said at this time, the bones seemed to fall apart, and he tilted his head and spat out bloody spit, screaming, "Despicable and shameless, it's all rude tricks." Wei Yuanhuan had never seen such a rogue style of play, kicked the throat and hit the waist. There are many tricks that have never been seen before. In short, you can say hello wherever you go. Where is the right way to play in the military? What's the difference between the methods used by the hooligans on the street? Mo Jiang was angry and funny. Let him go, and stood up. Remember, no matter what, you don't need to pay attention to the spirit of a gentleman in order to overcome the enemy and win. As long as you can win, how can you care whether it is a gentleman or a villain? When facing the enemy, sometimes it's a deadly move, and if you can't control the enemy, you'll only get beaten, and even more serious, you'll have to end your life. What Mo Jiang said was very reasonable, Wei Yuanhuan had to admit, but this still subverted his three views. He slowly got up and sat up. There was no part of his body that didn't hurt. He cursed himself in his heart, but couldn't say anything to refute Mo Jiang. As for your question, when will you be able to beat me, and when will I clear up your doubts? Mo Jiang happily packed him up, feeling very happy, and patted him on the shoulder amicably. Being photographed like this, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it happened to be on his sore spot. Wei Yuanhuan grinned and held back the pain with a ferocious face. He remembered this. Okay. Let's fight another day. Wei Yuanhuan said unconvinced, I don't believe that I can't beat you. The brothers in our guard battalion have a battle, but if you have one who can win, how about training with the guard battalion instead of training with the recruits in the future? Wei Yuanhuan's eyes lit up, is this true? They came to guard camp. The main purpose of the battalion is to learn to improve their combat power. What is the use of putting them in the recruits to train and run together with the recruits? If what Commander Mo said is true, maybe this time is still an opportunity. Mo Jiang nodded, if you bastards can win a game, he won't need to be the commander of the guards. Now that it was settled, Wei Yuanhuan limped out, and he wanted to tell everyone the news. I can't believe it. These people are considered skilled in the garrison, and it is impossible to win a game. Early in the morning the next day, the training ground was already full of people, no matter the old or the new, everyone came. Wei Yuanhuan was repaired by Mo Jiang yesterday, and was carried by 2 people at this time. Yesterday, it was fine when I left the tent, and I was able to move it back. Later, when I fell asleep, my whole body was in bad shape. Although I couldn't see any injuries on my body, the bones and meridians all over my body hurt everywhere, and I couldn't fall asleep after tossing and turning. This morning, I was thinking about the big event that was promised, so I was relieved to have a look at the scene, so I had someone come to help me. His face was really burning with panic, and it was the first time he was beaten like this since he was a child. Fortunately, Mo Jiang still had room to start. Otherwise he would have to lie on the bed for 10 days and a half month. The rules of the competition are very simple, that is, a small circle is drawn on the ground, and the brothers in the garrison can choose any brothers from the guard camp to challenge it. As long as one person is beaten out of the circle, it will be regarded as a loss. The training ground was lively, and the recruits were all excited and gearing up, ready to watch the fun. Wei Yuanhuan couldn't play, so he could only lift a chair and sit aside. Seeing the bruises on his face, everyone did not dare to make a sound. What he said to the outside world was that he asked Commander Mo to discuss, but he accidentally missed and was injured like this. Commander Mo is too powerful, right? He can beat people like this even by sparring with them. If he is ruthless, will there be a way for people to survive? In the future, it is still necessary to shy away from Commander Mo. Commander Mo, who was not far away, looked at him coolly. Wei Yuanhuan felt a sudden shock in his heart for no reason, feeling that the injuries all over his body hurt even more. Thinking of the way he was cruel to himself, he couldn't get tough, and he didn't even dare to look back. Not much to say, the rules of the competition are already here, Mo Jiang said directly to start, and then let them play freely. The people in the guard camp were all eager to try, craned their necks and waited, just hoping which little bastard would choose him for the competition, but Zhou Dadan almost jumped out and shouted to choose me and choose me. The people stationed in the army are not fools, persimmons are soft-touching, and General Wei also instructed them that as long as they can win even one game, they can stop running every day and stand in the army every day. Instead, you can follow the soldiers of the guard camp to do obstacle training or field survival training, which is exciting enough to think about. Didn't General Wei say it? To let them learn the skills of the guard army, what kind of flowers can they practice with those recruits all day long? Therefore, in order to win the game, there is nothing to worry about, and when picking opponents, try to choose a match that looks a little weaker. Zhou Dayan is tall and strong. At first glance, he is not easy to deal with. For the sake of safety, he directly filtered it out. Even Li Man was dragged to the competition because he was not very tall, so angry that Zhou Dayan wanted to scold his mother directly. Why are these people so blind? Just don't choose yourself as your opponent. The competition has already begun, and the garrison is defeated one by one. They never thought that the current guard army would be so strong. I think when they first came here for the garrison confrontation exercise, they easily defeated the guard battalion, and now? How long has it been? Their strength has increased so far. When they heard that the guards fought at Shichi Mountain, the guard battalion of 500 people had withstood the first wave of the enemy cavalry, which gave the Imperial Guard's cavalry waiting for an opportunity to attack the enemy from the weak spots on the flanks military. When they first heard it, they thought they were exaggerating. How could they have won a great victory with 1,500 people against the 7,000 to 8,000 barbarian iron cavalry? This is absolutely impossible. I am afraid it is still stained with the light of the Red Robe army who came behind. Many rumors also said that the guards actually had no ability at all. In order to take care of the prince's face, they took the credit of the Red Robe army. After all, the strength is displayed here, and it is still credible to say that the 5,000 Red Robe army defeated the enemy. But now it seems that this is not the case at all. The soldiers of these guard camps are brutal and vicious, and they beat them all over the ground to find their teeth. If anyone says that the guards are not capable, they will be the first to stand up and refute, and in a few rounds, they can be beaten to the ground. This is not a skill. What is a skill? Some people have already thought of it. Maybe it was precisely because of the battle at Shichi Mountain that the guard battalion played a crucial and decisive role, so General Wei threw them here, just so that they could follow the guard battalion. People study hard. Wei Yuanhuan, who was watching the battle from the sidelines, looked more and more ugly. These people, known as the elites in the garrison, had no one to be their opponents. This was simply outrageous. He glanced at Mo Zhang's expression not far away, but saw that this man didn't pay attention to the match on the training ground at all, but spoke calmly to the people around him. "We'll win." Wei Yuanhuan was heartbroken and looked away silently. It seemed that he had to re-evaluate the strength of the guard camp. Seeing is believing. Grandpa was right. The guard camp still has a lot to learn. This time, the garrison was completely defeated without any accident, and they all fell down like eggplants beaten by frost. Wei Yuanhuan looked at his own people and was so annoyed that he was speechless. Mo Jiang paced over and looked at the group of soldiers who had just been invincible. Now that the competition is over, what else is there to say? Scratching his neck, he said, "We lost, we are willing to accept the bet, and we will definitely obey the order in the future, and we will never dare to disobey." Mo Jiang was very satisfied, and casually flicked the dust on his cuffs. "Very good. Remember that, double the amount of training tomorrow." This group of brats are full of energy and have extra thoughts to find fault, then double the training, and seeing that you are exhausted, it is estimated that you will not have any extra energy to think about other things. Wei Wenhuan gritted his teeth. "Yes. But apart from the training, please also ask Commander Mo to allow us to observe the real training of the guards." Mo Jiang smiled. "Go ahead if you have the energy." As if remembering something, he turned around, threw a small porcelain bottle to Wei Yuanhuan, and said, "This sticker is a damage medicine, you can use it first, or don't mention tomorrow's training, whether you can get up or not, it's hard to say." Wei Yuanhuan blushed, squeezed the porcelain bottle, and finally put it in the front of his clothes. Thank you, Commander Mo. He has never suffered such a useless feeling, and after all, his skills are inferior to others. Always get a game back on this guy. Mo Jiang was satisfied with Wei Yuanhuan's performance. Before he left, Mo Jiang left a sentence to remind him, which one of our guard brothers didn't come from basic training. Soldiers should be pragmatic and haven't learned to climb yet. Just thinking about learning to run is the most inadvisable. In the eyes of the guard battalion brothers, your training volume alone is not worth mentioning. The guard battalion soldiers on the field left with laughter. Commander Mo said. That's right, if you eat hard and suffer, you will become a superior person. Didn't they get ridiculed enough in the first place? But their prince said, let them not care, face up to their shortcomings, slowly correct their shortcomings in the future, and make progress slowly, and one day they will be impressive. They still have some regrets. This group of people is too inexperienced. Gee,